All right, everyone, welcome back to another video using Security Onion. And today I'm going to go over some of the testing methodologies that I use when it comes to testing SIGMA rules, using host logs ingested into Security Onion. And as you can see right here in front of you, I've already done a couple tests when it comes to enabling some plays in Playbook using SIGMA rules. And there's a couple of prerequisites you're going to want to have set up. Obviously, you're going to want to be ingesting host logs into your Security Onion scene, whether that be a standalone or distributed environment. You want to make sure that you properly set up the Elastic WinLogBeat binary on your endpoint, and that you're collecting the appropriate event fields. Also, probably would be best to have Sysmon installed as well. Sysmon captures a lot of that granular activity on the endpoint, and then capturing that event field in your YAML file and forwarding that traffic to your Security Onion instance will definitely help when it comes to testing SIGMA rules and seeing how you can tune those rules to better fit your environment. But today we're going to be using Atomic red team scripts. And if you're not familiar with Atomic, they do some great stuff when it comes to mimicking a lot of the TTPs that you may see across adversaries or certain certain APTs, and they try to closely correlate those TTPs to a standard framework such as like MITRE. And you can read throughout their GitHub and go along through their installation process. I'll try to link this GitHub link down in the description below the video. So if you're curious on, more about, how this works, you can definitely visit that. But today's main goal is to use Atomic with host logs on an endpoint and test an endpoint and see if we have proper coverage and see if we can get any value out of enabling SIGMA rules to alert on suspicious activity so that we can hone in on that a lot quicker and use a lot of the other functions in Security Onion to hunt and drill down and make cases and so on and so forth. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I've already ran some tests actually today. So I have a actual agent on a domain controller as well as this box as well. And I wanted to test, I didn't see the user account creation rule in Playbook, so I went ahead and made my own. It was very simple. If you go into Playbook, you can load some pre-configured SIGMA rules, and if you want to hone in on specific event IDs, you can definitely do that. I'll show that here in just a second. But as you can see, I made some user accounts on one of my DCs and had SIGMA alert me to say, hey, there's a new user account enabled. And if you were configuring dashboards in Kibana, you may be able to do that, but which is probably not an issue at all looking at particular event IDs. But if you want to have everything kind of nice and neat under one centralized view under alerts, definitely make a SIGMA rule for that. And it's actually quite simple. So this is the alert, and I made several other accounts to make sure the alert was working. But if you go into Playbook, you can see right here, here's the user account created. You can actually go here and edit and look at it a little bit more granularly. So you scroll down right here, and you can see how the SIGMA rule is structured. You give it a title, who the author is, the description. We're looking at event 4720. And here's where the magic comes into play. The condition, which is it's looking for a condition to alert on, is the selection, which is this. So the condition is if this event ID comes across the wire, then alert. So very simple. And if you want to make your own Playbook rules, you can go to create a new play and then load an example and then play with it from there. So let's go back and see if we can do some actual alerting on the fly. And let's look for a particular tactic. And if you have Atomic set up in your environment, as you can see, I have it right here. I've already ran some tests. The GitHub will walk you through how to do that, making sure that everything's set up properly. And this is probably best to do it, on a remote host so that you make sure that your logging is set up correctly and that you're capturing everything you need. So if you look at the GitHub, there are some different invoking commands that you can run with particular MITRE ATT&CK techniques to see if you have everything set up properly. And I was actually running this T1218. And in Playbook, you can actually take this right here, copy it, and go over and search. And it'll take you to a play that may be correlated to that particular tactic in the MITRE ATT&CK framework. And you can look at the SIGMA rule and see if it's set up properly to alert on these particular binaries doing maybe some malicious activity in your environment. And looks like reg serve32.exe could be associated with attack, defense, evasion. You have your attack ID or your TTP ID right here. And you can look here, we enabled it. And I ran the play, I invoked it specifically right here. And I tested 1 and 2, and it ran in the environment. And then the host sent back the logs to Security Onion, and the play was enabled. And we came out with this outcome right here. And you can scroll down and see exactly what happened. We have our command line execution using reg serve32.exe. We have our user. If you have a particular sysmon config that you're using, shout out to Olaf. I use his. He has a GitHub. I'll probably put that link below as well. Some people use Swift on Security, but it's whatever you want to use. Make sure your sysmon config file is tuned appropriately. So essentially what we're trying to get at here is we're trying to hone in on particular adversarial TTPs, test it live, and make sure our SIGMA rules are working appropriately. And if not, tune if necessary. So that's that. Let's try to do one on the fly and see if that works. So let's go back over here to our PowerShell prompt, and below I actually ran a list to list all the tests that come with Atomic. And let's look for one in particular. Let's go with this one, dump lsass.exe using proc dump. Now, before we go ahead and start this, you do have to run some prerequisites to make sure that you have everything appropriately set up on your endpoint so that it can execute. Some things you probably want to take into consideration is disabling Defender, because it will most likely block a lot of these testings that you're going to be doing on your endpoint. Just go to manage settings, and we'll go ahead and make sure it's off. So that's good. So we have T1003.001, but let's look for it by the actual attack by name. So let's go ahead and copy that. And let's go ahead and put it here. And let's see here. Let's try, we can look at this one. It's inactive right now. And look at the SIGMA rule. Okay, so we have attack evasion. We have our particular ID for that attack, and we can see how it's structured. If you look right here, the detection is selections 1, 2, and 3. So these particular strings in the command line, this is what it's looking for. And the condition is hit on selection 1 and 2 together, or 3. So you can see how it's structured right there. And you could probably make a dashboard to look for this, but using Sigma and Playbook and Security Onion is just a lot easier to me, and I think it's a lot cooler. So, and you can tie everything closely around the hunt feature as well, so you can pivot on certain logs and stuff. And here's the Elasta alert search query that's configured, that's converted from Sigma. So you could probably plop this down in your Kibana interface and search for it that way as well. So let's go ahead and enable this play. Let's go ahead and make it active. And I'll go ahead and submit. And we'll go back to active plays. And we can see here that number 394, suspicious use of proc dump, is active. And let's go back to our PowerShell prompt. And let's see if we can run this one right here. Let's see, I ran it earlier, so let's go ahead and copy this. Go right here and all the way down. Oops. Okay, and let's do this and see if this works. I'm kind of new when it comes to running atomic. Oops, that didn't work right there. Let's go back up and make sure we're grabbing the right one. Let's see this one right here. Yep, let's go back down. You can see there's dozens and dozens and dozens of different attacks that you can run. So let's just see if we can do it like this. It just works. All right, so Defender definitely, even though it's off, it still hit on it. And looks like there might have been some errors, probably because Defender blocked it. Let's make sure that we have Defender off one more time. And virus protection. Let's go down to manage settings and turn off one more time. Go ahead and do this. And run. Okay. Gonna find them. Okay, so make sure, obviously, before you're running these particular tests, that you set up your environment appropriately, or you will have some issues. I'm doing this one on the fly, so there may be some things that I did not install correctly, which is fine. I'm sure we're probably going to get some hits on this, most definitely. So if you're not familiar with how Elasta Alert works with Sigma and Playbook and Security Onion, it usually runs on an interval. So you may not catch that interval in time. So you might have to wait, a few minutes, which is fine. That's okay. No worries there. While the logs are being sent back to Security Onion, we're going to look at one more atomic test to see if we can find it in our playbook and run. So I actually have some right here already put into Notepad, and let's see. I wonder if we have. Let's go ahead and which one should we do next? Let's look at. Let's go back and see if we can run and get a list. Show all if you want. Let's go ahead and kill that right there. And let's look for definitely Lsass secrets, Lsass read with PyCats, Windows credential editor, credential dumping with NPP spy. Let's look for some other ones. So let that run down. See if we get one that catches our eye. Let's stop that there. Let's do schedule task local remote. Let's see if we can maybe look at this and see if this is in. All right, so it looks like we got our alert, suspicious use of proc dump. Excellent, excellent. That looks like that worked perfectly. Let's go back up in here and see. So we probably don't have that, but we can look for it by the attack ID. Let's see here, T053. So let's see if we have anything associated with this in playbook. All right, let's see, schedule task creation. So let's take a look at play number 410. And I think, let's see here. This looks like this could be right. Looks like we have the right attack ID associated with it. So let's see if we can go ahead and enable this one as well and see if this works too. Active and submit. Looks good. And we're going to go ahead and try to run that one right there, which was T53005, scheduled task startup script. So go ahead and copy this, clear this out, and go ahead and run this one and see what we got. So error access denied. So it's trying to run, but it couldn't. So we'll see if we get any hits. It ran a few of those sub techniques in there. It looks like some of those executed correctly. All right, that looks janky. Gotta pop open Notepad. So those logs should be sent back to Security Onion. And while that is happening, let's drill down on suspicious use of proc dump and take a look. So it looks like it did indeed execute correctly, and you can see all the particular pieces of information in the log that you would need to probably come to a determination that yes, this is legitimate, or no, this is not, and this is something that we need to take care of or make a case out of. You can escalate that to cases as well. It's pretty much up to you. But essentially the goal here is to make sure that, hey, you know, we're testing certain TTPs that adversaries may use correlated to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. And then we're looking inside of Security Onion and we're seeing if we can indeed tune our SIGMA rules to alert on this activity. So far so good. We definitely make a case out of this and then RFI to see what the deal is and go from there. Let's go back, and we probably got to wait just a little bit to see if that other attack that we ran with Atomic came back. And let's refresh this. And you see that we have some highlighting going on here. Now, this is a neat little feature in Security Onion. I haven't really figured it out yet, but this is highlighting on blue as masquerading. I'd like to definitely get some more details behind how the functionality is when a certain rule or alert hits in Security Onion, why it highlights certain areas of the MITRE ATT&CK framework that come, the navigator that comes with Security Onion. So that's quite interesting. Yeah, so as you can see, we were able to properly look up and test one particular attack using Atomic Red script or Atomic Red Team scripts. This is just a way for you to kind of say, hey, I want to look at a handful of different attack techniques, and I want to make sure that when my environment is set up properly, that I can detect these particular attack techniques that are happening, and that you have it all at one central location. So you're doing testing, you're doing tuning, and you're just empowering your SOC or your team using Security Onion and all the great features that come with it. So yeah, if you do feel like you want to test more, you definitely can. You can go to the GitHub link. Like I said, I'll post that below, and you can start setting up your environment. You don't need a lot of hosts. You only need, really one host sending back login information to your SIEM, and make sure you set up your host appropriately so they can execute the scripts, and that you can test and say, hey, look, this rule works, this rule doesn't work, and then go from there. Or even maybe perhaps test certain techniques that Atomic Red Team has and add more to your playbook, so that you can say, hey, I know these work, these are good to go, I have the information. And right here you can see that we did indeed execute that particular attack with the scheduled tasks. You can see right here T1053 and all the subtasks. And you can see that we got hits. Let's refresh, see if we get anything else. So right there, and you can zoom in and drill down and look at the login information and see, hey, this is something that's definitely not supposed to be happening in the environment. We need to go ahead and make a case out of this and send it up and do some RFI. So yeah, testing in real time, it is fabulous. It's one of those things about, wow, Security Onion, they keep raising the bar. So I'll probably do some more Sigma testing, maybe make some more videos just to show the flexibility. And maybe later on, I'll look into creating some dashboards and seeing how that works and what would work best, either using playbook rules or dashboards. I'm biased. I like playbook feature when it comes to Security Onion, so it's up to you, pick and choose. Anyways, hope you guys like this video. Comment below if you want to see something different, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.